It was just another show. The audience applauded, the lights shone, and the tamer had complete confidence in the animal he had trained for years. But in the blink of an eye, the circus stage was transformed into a scene of horror. The tiger gave no warning. There was no sign, just a quick movement, and Ettore Weber, one of Europe's most experienced tamers, fell to the ground, never to rise again. This is the true story of one of the most brutal attacks ever recorded in the circus world. A case so shocking that it forever changed the way Italy views animals in shows. Get ready, because today you're going to find out every detail of this tragedy that went viral around the world. But before we dive into this shocking story, tell me, where are you watching from? Write your city or country in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because every week we release real stories that will leave you speechless. Now back to our drama. You'll find out that the worst was yet to come. Who was Ettore Weber? Before becoming a victim, Ettore Weber was a man who lived and breathed the circus. Born in Germany in 1965, in a small town where the circus was more than just a show, it was a way of life. The son of a trapeze artist and a contortionist, he grew up among colorful tents, the smell of sawdust, and the distant roar of wild animals behind the scenes. From the age of 7, Weber followed the animal trainers and was mesmerized by the big cats. While other children feared lions and tigers, he admired them as if he could see beyond their sharp teeth and powerful claws. At 16, he began working as an assistant to a veteran animal trainer, learning that the secret was not in strength, but in connection. Weber believed that wild animals were not monsters, but intelligent creatures that could be performance partners, as long as they were treated with respect. He dedicated his life to taming lions, tigers, and even bears, developing his own method, a mixture of firmness and affection. While others used whips and tiny cages to break the animal's spirit, Weber preferred rewards, a calm voice, and above all, patience. He always repeated, "An animal that obeys you out of fear is not a partner, it is a prisoner." Behind the scenes, he was known as the Beast Tamer, a nickname that made his family proud, but also hid a danger. Because in the circus world, the line between tamer and prey is thin. Weber knew the risks, but he firmly believed that his bond with the animals was unbreakable, and it was this confidence that led him to underestimate the wild instinct of the animal that would become his greatest partner and his last, the Tigress Suzie. Suzie the Tigress, an unpredictable beast. Suzie was no ordinary animal. Born in the confines of a circus animal breeding facility, she never knew the freedom of the Asian forests. Her world was limited to concrete cages and the artificial lights of the circus ring. Separated from her mother at only 8 weeks old, a trauma that deeply marks wild felines, she was handed over to trainers who broke her with controversial methods, food deprivation, electric shocks, and isolation. Until Ettore Weber rescued her from this hell when she turned 1. Weber saw something special in that amber-eyed tigress, a keen intelligence and a dominant personality that set her apart from other felines. But even his humane training did not completely erase her initial trauma. Tigers like Suzie are perfect killing machines. They can weigh over 200 kilos, jump 5 meters, and have reflexes 5 times faster than humans. Their muscles are like steel cables, their claws natural knives. Weber knew this, but he believed he had tamed the untamable. Behind the scenes, Suzie developed peculiar behavior. While other tigers in the cast submitted passively, she maintained a defiant stance. During training, there were moments when she would fix her golden eyes on Weber for long seconds, her ears slightly lowered, her whiskers quivering, body language that experts recognize as a warning sign. "She's sizing you up," a veteran handler once warned. "One day, she may decide you're no longer the alpha." Weber laughed, stroking the beast's orange fur. "Suzie respects me. We have an agreement." But wild animals don't make agreements. Her DNA was imprinted with the instinct of thousands of years of evolution, the same instinct that makes tigers in the wild attack when they feel their territory is threatened. Suzie could wear a sequined collar and jump through hoops like a trained dog, but in her heart beat the ancestral rhythm of the jungle. And on the fateful day of the attack, that rhythm dictated a tragic end to the relationship that Weber thought was unbreakable. The last show, the attack that shocked Italy. It was September 15th, 2007, a seemingly ordinary night at the Medrano Circus, which had set up its tents in the Italian city of Latina. The humid, late summer air carried the smell of popcorn and cotton candy. In the stands, more than 500 people, including dozens of excited children, awaited the climax of the show. The act of legendary tamer Ettore Weber with his star performer, the Tigress Suzie. The stage was set with the traditional flaming hoops and platforms. Everything seemed perfect until fate reared its ugly head. Weber entered the ring with his characteristic posture, chest puffed out, trainer's cane in his right hand, a confident smile on his face. Suzie followed behind, her muscular body moving with feline grace under the spotlight. The act began as usual, jumps through hoops, basic commands to sit and roll. But when Weber ordered Suzie to stand on her hind legs for the grand finale, something changed. The tigress froze, her amber eyes fixed on the trainer with an intensity never seen before. A deadly silence hung in the air for 2 seconds that seemed like an eternity. What followed was a nightmare in slow motion. Witnesses reported that Weber, realizing the danger, tried to calm Suzie with his soft voice, but it was too late. With a guttural roar that echoed throughout the circus, the 220 kilos of muscle and fury lunged at him. The audience watched in horror as the tigress struck Weber in the chest with enough force to knock down a bull, her rear claws tearing into the trainer's abdomen before he even hit the ground. The decisive attack came next. Her powerful jaws, capable of crushing buffalo skulls, closed around Weber's neck with a pressure of 450 kilos per cm². Arterial blood spurted in jets, synchronized with Weber's final heartbeats, painting the sequins on Suzie's costume red. Meanwhile, the circus was in chaos. Parents threw children back into the stands, women screamed hysterically, men ran in random directions. A security guard tried to intervene with a fire extinguisher, but backed away when Suzie raised her head, her teeth still embedded in Weber's decapitated corpse, her face transformed into a grotesque mask of blood. It took 15 minutes and 3 tranquilizer darts to immobilize the beast, enough time for hundreds of people to forever etch the most traumatic scenes of their lives into their memories. The impact of the tragedy. The case of Ettore Weber was not just another tragic news story. It was an earthquake that shook the foundations of the world of animal shows. In the weeks following the incident, amateur recordings made by members of the audience spread like wildfire across the internet, accumulating millions of views on platforms such as YouTube and sensationalist newspapers. Each frame of these videos, the exact moment when Suzie attacks, Weber's body falling lifeless, the children crying desperately, became an indisputable argument against animal exploitation in circuses. Animal behavior experts were unanimous in their analysis. There is no such thing as a domesticated wild animal, explained biologist Dr. Marco Lombardi in an interview with Corriere della Sera. What we have are beasts that are temporarily subjugated, but at any moment they can remember that they are predators at the top of the food chain. A simple accumulation of stress, undiagnosed pain, a sudden movement by the trainer, any of these factors can trigger the switch to savagery that has never ceased to exist. The international press spared no details. The British newspaper The Guardian published a cover story entitled "The Price of Entertainment," showing how 95% of big cats in circuses develop serious psychological disorders, ranging from self-mutilation to extreme aggression. In Germany, Weber's homeland, protesters stormed the grounds of several circuses, demanding the immediate release of the animals. In Rome, an online petition gathered 500,000 signatures in just 48 hours. The Weber case became the catalyst for historic change. In 2017, after 10 years of legal battles and public pressure, Italy passed Law Number 175, which strictly prohibited the use of any wild animals in circus shows. "This is a victory of civilization over barbarism," declared the Minister of the Environment at the time. But for Ettore Weber's family and friends, the victory had a bitter taste. Ettore loved that tigress like a son, his sister revealed in a BBC documentary. But in the end, she was just what she always was, a wild animal that should never have been taken from her habitat. The legacy of this tragedy echoes to this day. Since 2017, 12 more European countries have followed Italy's example, and the number of circuses with wild animals has fallen by 62% worldwide. Meanwhile, Suzie spent her last years in a sanctuary in Tuscany, where she was finally able to express her natural instincts, far from audiences, spotlights, and the hands that believed they could tame the untamable. What happened to Suzie? In the days following the fatal attack, Suzie was kept in a special isolation cage at the back of the circus, amid intense debate about her fate. While animal rights groups pressed for her transfer, many, including Weber's colleagues, demanded her immediate euthanasia. "She's a killer," shouted protesters outside the circus. But experts argued a harsh truth. Suzie was not a criminal, but a victim of a system that forced her to live against her nature. After 3 months of legal battles, the tigress was transferred to the Santuario Felino della Toscana, a 12-hectare reserve surrounded by natural vegetation. The first few months were difficult. Suzie exhibited stereotypical behaviors, walking in endless circles as she had done in the circus, and refusing to hunt live animals offered to her. But gradually, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in her life, the tigress began to display authentic wild behaviors. She marked her territory, learned to swim in the artificial lake, and, in a scene that moved her caregivers, successfully hunted a rabbit 6 months after her arrival. Suzie lived another 8 years at the sanctuary, becoming one of its most iconic residents. Visitors reported that she had a peculiar habit. Every afternoon, she would sit at the highest point of her enclosure, staring intently at the horizon, as if waiting for something or someone. When she died of natural causes in 2015, her caretakers discovered that she had developed severe arthritis in her front legs, likely the result of years of unnatural jumping in the circus. Meanwhile, Ettore Weber was buried in his hometown in Germany with all the honors of the circus world. His grave, adorned with sculptures of lions and tigers, became a place of pilgrimage for animal trainers. But his death left a permanent scar on the industry. "We consider ourselves the trainers," reflected one of Weber's colleagues in a posthumous interview. But in the end, who was really being trained? We, for believing we had control over the uncontrollable. The story of Suzie and Weber remains the most powerful warning about the limits of domestication. While circuses in some countries still insist on using wild animals, more and more people understand the fundamental truth that Weber learned the hard way. You can dress a tiger in glitter and necklaces, but you can never take the jungle out of its heart. The story of Ettore Weber and Suzie transcends the mere account of a tragic accident. It confronts us with an uncomfortable truth about our relationship with the wild world. For centuries, humanity has prided itself on its ability to dominate nature, domesticating wolves, caging eagles, and forcing tigers to jump through flaming hoops. But what happened on that night in 2007 was a brutal reminder. There are insurmountable limits to this domination. Behavioral scientists estimate that a tiger in captivity loses up to 60% of its brain mass dedicated to hunting and survival skills. But even these animals, genetically modified by domestication, still carry millennia of wild instinct in their DNA. Suzie did not attack Weber out of malice. She simply responded to impulses deeply ingrained in her genetic code, the same ones that have allowed her species to survive for 2 million years. Today, as you watch this video, around 5,000 big cats still live in captivity for human entertainment around the world. Many suffer from severe psychological disorders, self-mutilation, depression, and repetitive behaviors. The tragic irony? The more tame the animal appears, the more dangerous it can become, because they learn to suppress their stress signals to the point of breaking. Ettore Weber paid for this misconception with his life. Suzie has been deprived of her freedom since birth. And us? What have we learned from this story? Every time a circus with animals closes down, every time a country bans these practices, we take a small step towards a fairer world, where we respect nature instead of trying to subjugate it. This was the story that changed the world of circuses forever. The tragic relationship between Ettore Weber and Suzie, the tigress who should never have been tamed. But now, I want to know, what did you think of this whole story? Can wild animals really be tamed, or are we just pretending to control the uncontrollable? Leave your real opinion in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video made you rethink our relationship with animals, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with that person who still thinks animal circuses are innocent. Spread the word, because stories like this need to be heard. Oh, and if you're not subscribed yet, click that red button below. Every day, we bring you real stories that will make you think, from human dramas to amazing stories from the animal world. Hit the bell so you don't miss a thing. Want to continue this journey? Then press play on the video that's now on your screen. We have an even more intense story waiting for you. And remember, behind every circus fence, there is an animal that was born to be free. See you in the next video.